Today, we want to talk about the problem that we face with raising spiritually dead people in a society where most of them are. And we have to think about the messages that we're carrying and the life that we live. If we live a compassionate, loving, empathetic type of life in God or under God, our whole makeup becomes more believable. And we have to live it. And we can't be afraid if somebody says something to counter it if it's not in that realm. Because we're dealing with a society that is basically spiritually dead. If you remember the prophecy that Ezekiel was told to say in the vision he had of dead, dry bones laying on the field, and God told him to prophesy over it that they would come alive. Well, unfortunately, after nearly 3,000 years, it's not quite, a little over 2,500, there hasn't been much of a change that is in the larger percentages of the population. Depending on where you look, we're between 1 to 3% of the population. And if we're looking at spiritually alive people, it's probably closer to the 1% of the population that recognizes that we're to love God and the whole of his creation, not just segments of it. I've heard a lot of people say, I love animals. And what they really mean is I love them on my plate. And that's not loving the animals. You know, you pet this one and eat that one. That's not loving animals. That's selective compassion, maybe, at best. We have to think about where the people are. We have to wear our lifestyle openly before others. When I go into a supermarket and I'm buying produce and people see I'm buying produce, they look, that's all you buy. And I get questions every so often about it. And when you do, and you see people looking in your cart, and they do, they're looking for the meat. They're looking for animal products. And if I don't have them there, I get a way of opening the doors. And in particular, if somebody's looking, they're all vegetables. You notice that? Yeah. And because we're vegan. And then we can talk about it. And sometimes it'll open a conversation. And other times you see that they're master masons and they're building this wall in between us and them. They don't want to even hear about it because they know the truth. But the evil side of this world that doesn't care about creation, they want to be a part of that. They are drawn to that evil side. And basically the world is. I mean, there's this new thing about not calling meat what it is, calling it protein. Well, I have news for those people. Percentage of the calories in Romaine lettuce in broccoli comes from protein. You don't see skinny, dilapidated herbivores. You have, big grazing animals, or cattle, or bovines, the bison that are out west, the Cape buffalo in Africa. These are big grazing animals. How do they get their mass? From eating grass and whatever else is around. It's plant-based. That's what we need to help people to see. But at the same time, they need to see it from the spiritual level. They need to see that we are to love God and the whole of his creation. That's every other human being, every animal, and the environment in which we all live, and feel its pain and suffering and joy, and do something about it. Not just, that's all right, that's the way it is. We're to love the whole of the world and help other people see it. Amen.